This just in from Eagles insider Jeff McLane of the Philadelphia Inquirer ahead of this afternoon's deadline. Philadelphia Eagles not expected to use the franchise tag on safety CJ Gardner-Johnson. We're talking about that on Philadelphia Eagles now, but also a lot of Eagles free agency and trade buzz. Philadelphia tied to Bobby Wagner, the star-studded and future Hall of Fame linebacker. The Eagles up top of the Derrick Henry trade destinations, and also latest Eagles offseason rumblings coming your way. I'm Chase Sr. Appreciate all of you for making this morning's show a part of your day. So let's begin with CJ Gardner-Johnson. This coming out from Jeff McLane just moments ago, early on a Tuesday, that the NFL's deadline for franchise tagging and transition tags is today at 4 o'clock Eastern, and the Eagles unlikely to use either of those on safety CJ Gardner-Johnson or any other player. What's interesting, and this goes to show you the genius of Howie Roseman, the Philadelphia Eagles have not levied the franchise tag since 2012 with Deshaun Jackson at the time. Mike Garafolo following up on that report from McLane, saying the Eagles have a long list of free agents but not expected to tag any. As Jeff McLane notes, the tag for CJ Gardner-Johnson would have been $14.46 million. That is the franchise tag price for safeties in the NFL. There's also buzz out there that CJ Gardner-Johnson could land a deal that makes him one of the highest paid safeties in the National Football League. And it's not a surprise to me because I thought he played really good football last year, having not played a lot of safety throughout his NFL career previously with the New Orleans Saints. And then he gets traded to the Philadelphia Eagles. Not only does he master a new position, but he's able to master a new scheme in a moment, which really did impress me throughout this year. He also added to the Eagles culture as well. This coming from Zach Berman of The Athletic, and we highlighted this on Sunday's show. Look for Javon Hargrave, CJ Gardner-Johnson, James Bradbury, and Isaac Seumalo to all sign deals that put them at or near the top of their positions and give the Eagles a favorable spot for the compensatory pick formula. And I saw from Dave Spadaro, who's the Eagles reporter for PhiladelphiaEagles.com, that yes, the Eagles are focusing on the 2024 NFL Draft and some of the compensatory picks they could get for some of their current free agent signing elsewhere. They could have realistically a dozen picks in the 2024 NFL Draft, but don't expect that to really hinder what the Eagles look to do in free agency here in 2023. But of course, they're trying to compete in the now, but also build for the future as well. This is an opportunity to do that. Obviously, if the Eagles lose CJ Gardner-Johnson, they're losing one of the best upstart safeties in the NFL and a guy who had his fingerprints on a lot of games playing multiple positions for this team. Yes, at safety, but also nickel slot cornerback, and was wreaking havoc all across the football field. 6 interceptions for Gardner-Johnson last year. That was tied for the most across the National Football League. 17 stops, 56 solo tackles, 1 sack, 12 missed tackles. Not a great mark by any means. I also think that this is a classic example of the analytics not telling the full story, because according to Pro Football Focus, he had an overall grade of 65.2. That is below league average, a coverage grade of 65.9, but when you watched CD Deuce, that is his nickname, a lot of people confused by that in the comment section, that's just his nickname, FYI. I thought that when you watched him on tape, he played better than what some of the statistics showed. 8 pass breakups, 5 tackles for loss, and 458 coverage snaps. And my take with CJ Gardner-Johnson, this would be a big loss for the Eagles. They didn't trade a lot to get him from the New Orleans Saints, and Howie Roseman, a highway robbery is what he was able to pull off. They maximized his value. He took over a new position, something that he hadn't played much, more than 1,100 snaps 2 years ago with the Saints out of that slot cornerback spot and combined throughout his NFL career, and then also 80-plus snaps at that safety position. But this is a franchise building block for the Eagles if they're able to bring him back at 25 years old. He simply might be a little bit too expensive for their offseason plans because they are a little bit tight with the salary cap. Now, we have a challenge here on Eagles Now, and I want you all to show the bosses that Eagles fans always show out. We launched a brand new NFL Draft channel here at Chat Sports, and I want all of you right now to show it some love by subscribing. We're trying to get that to 1,000 subscribers as we build another channel under the Chat Sports umbrella. It's youtube.com/chatnfl. Plug in that link. We're also going to put that link in the comment section and in the description. Subscribe there. We have a bunch of interviews from the NFL Combine, and we're going to continue to put NFL Draft content over on that channel as well so that you can stay in the know, not just with the Philadelphia Eagles, but the league-wide happenings as it pertains to the NFL Draft. Is Philadelphia tied to Bobby Wagner? Let's get to that next tier on the show. Albert Breer saying the Eagles could be an option for Wagner in free agency. Here's what he said of late, and Albert Breer, obviously one of the go-to NFL reporters out there who's very well sourced. Bobby Wagner is clearly not what he was, but still has something to offer in terms of leadership and championship experience for a team that's young in its front seven. I'd wonder out loud about the Eagles' potential interest. TJ Edwards is a free agent, as are Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, and Javon Hargrave. So if Wagner becomes available, he could be a nice insurance policy and veteran presence for a group in transition. And because TJ Edwards played so well last year, great developmental story for this organization, by the way, as he kind of started off his NFL career as a fringe roster type. Then last year, one of the highest graded linebackers in the NFL, he could get a nice bag. And if the Eagles cannot afford him, bringing in Bobby Wagner kind of fits the win-now window for this team. A cheaper player who's a little bit older but can still help you right now. And then also, maybe you get some playing time to Nakobe Dean, who you used a draft pick on last year. So you have that blend and that combination of a veteran and future Hall of Famer while also still being able to give snaps to Nakobe Dean. You're not paying both of those players all that much money, and then TJ Edwards able to cash in elsewhere in free agency if you're trying to be fiscally smart, which Howie Roseman always is. With Wagner, one of the best linebackers of all time, member of the 2010s All-Decade team on top of that, 6-time first-team All-Pro, 3-time second-team All-Pro, so 9 times in his career he's been named to an All-Pro team, 8-time trip to the Pro Bowl, and a 2-time NFL tackles leader on Bobby Wagner's resume as his accolades continue to stack up. And last year with the Los Angeles Rams, as Albert Breer pointed out, not the same player that he once was with the Seattle Seahawks when he was able to stack up all of that hardware and get on that Hall of Fame track, but still a pretty good linebacker who was one of the highest graded linebackers according to Pro Football Focus last year, in addition to TJ Edwards and a guy like Fred Warner from the San Francisco 49ers. A lot of completion percentage when he was targeted of nearly 69%, so that's not great, but only 359 yards. A lot of those balls underneath and completions underneath. 2 touchdowns allowed and 2 interceptions on 5 pass breakups. This guy was a tackling machine and continues to be just that. So should the Eagles sign Bobby Wagner? Certainly a big name free agent target who could come at the cheap, and he did say when he was released by his hometown Los Angeles Rams, he wants to go somewhere where he can win. Well, Bobby Wagner, my message to you, you can win in Philadelphia. S for sign, P for pass, let me know. And as you venture down there, yeah, we want you to subscribe to our NFL Draft channel here at Chat Sports, but subscribe to Philadelphia Eagles Now. This is your go-to spot for the best Eagles free agency coverage, our coverage this week, next week, and year-round. It's always the best. We're north of 42,000 subscribers. Let's continue to grow. Let's round out today's show with Derrick Henry. So you look at his trade odds here and his next team odds. Of course, the Tennessee Titans there because he is currently on the Tennessee Titans, for those not familiar, but other teams who could trade for him. Philadelphia Eagles in second place here in terms of the odds at 4-1, Buffalo Bills at plus 550, Miami Dolphins at plus 600. To me, this makes absolutely 0 sense for the Eagles to have interest and pursue Derrick Henry. First of all, he's not a scheme fit. You want Derrick Henry to get the ball with some momentum with the quarterback who's primarily under center. Yes, Jalen Hurts is under center sometimes, but oftentimes he operates out of the shotgun. So Derrick Henry not able to establish that momentum and that speed toward the line of scrimmage because he simply isn't able to generate that coming out of a shotgun formation. So that's number one, he's not a scheme fit. Number two, the Eagles don't pay running backs big money. They're not expected to retain Miles Sanders, as he could cash in between $6, $8, $10 million. And for Derrick Henry, he's getting paid a lot of money. A cap hit in 2023 of $16.3 million. We're already talking about them maybe not being able to retain a CJ Gardner-Johnson, a TJ Edwards, some other players on this team. They're not going to allocate all of that money to a running back. Now, yes, his numbers over the last 4 years and throughout his NFL career, he, like Bobby Wagner, his NFL career could end with the trip to Canton rocking that clean brown jacket, but he's way too expensive, and I think at some point soon he's going to wear down. He had the foot injury a couple of years ago. This past year in 2022, that did not limit his production. Could he be one of one in a physical specimen, a physical freak who's able to age rarely well at that running back position? Yes, but also, how does he play? With brute force, with physicality. This guy could squat a house out there if you needed him to. 1,500 yards last year, 13 touchdowns, a very good red zone threat. Even the year before that, in 8 games played, he still had 937 rushing yards, and of course, the 2 years prior to that, the NFL rushing champion throughout his NFL career. My goodness, he's been fantastic, but it doesn't just make sense for the Eagles to bring him in. Now, according to reports out there, they're also not expected to pay big-time money to Miles Sanders. He's not expected back. We talked about last week how Kenneth Gainwell might have the inside track at being RB1. I'm not going to rule out Jahmyr Gibbs in the NFL draft. I'm not going to rule out Bijan Robinson or the Eagles trying to bring in another back. A guy like Bijan, he's tantalizing. I salivate over the thought of him being in this offense as the next kind of Christian McCaffrey in this league. Something to, of course, look out for in the future with the NFL draft coming up at the end of April. So who do you want to be the Eagles RB1 next year? Is it Sanders? Is it Gainwell? Is it Henry? Is it Bijan Robinson? Jahmyr Gibbs? Somebody else? Let us know by dropping a name down in the comment section. And another reminder, make sure you subscribe to our NFL Draft channel. Some great content there in the weeks leading up to the 2023 NFL Draft. It's youtube.com/chatNFL. We also put that link in the comment section and in the description of this video.